10 years ago, we understood, on the basis of the documentation, again unassailably, that there was the easiest preventive intervention imaginable if only we did it. And it was called preventing the transmission of the virus from the mother to the child during pregnancy or the birthing process or subsequently in breastfeeding. We all understood it in 2000, and we allowed it to paralyze everyone. We simply had the intellectual and epidemiological facts, and we refused to implement. And let me not beat around the bush. It was a catastrophic failure of United Nations agencies that should have been taking the lead. It was a failure of UNAIDS. It was a failure of UNICEF, the organization charged with protecting the health of the child. It was a failure of the international community. Now you hear at this conference everybody talking about the potential elimination of pediatric AIDS, and no child will be born HIV positive again come the year 2015, as though there were some incomparable divine discovery on the eve of the conference. We're 10 years late. 10 years when we lost an incalculable number of lives illegitimately because the job wasn't done. And I beg you, you have the basis now to go after the agencies and to go after the governments, taking the figures and the knowledge and the analysis and driving it home. We cannot lose another 10 years. This conference with this information has to be the turning point. And that leads me to one final thing I want to say, and that is in the realm of human rights. I don't have to deal in an extravagant way with that because everybody understands the human rights components, although sometimes I get mystified. Sometimes when I hear the president of Malawi say that he will rescind a 14-year jail sentence for two young men who want to get married, and then somehow the world applauds him while he engages in the most extreme homophobic utterances precisely at the moment when he's rescinding the policy. And then we welcome him in my country, Canada, to represent Africa at the G8 meetings as though he was some incomparable incarnation of human decency, when the guy is a reprobate beyond description. You have to ask yourself, what the hell is wrong with this world? How do they make these distinctions? Human rights aren't some realm of separable components. Everything comes together. And it's necessary to be consistent in the struggle for human rights and not to forgive the blackguards when they don't deserve it. And again, I don't know how the planning works, and I recognize there are many different views on legal and constitutional challenges, but one must sit down and work out the plan country by country to initiate a legal challenge based on statute, a legal challenge based on constitution, or whatever other components are required to begin to make the argument in the society as a whole that the repulsive discrimination must come to an end. And these things cannot be abstractions. People have to sit down and say, this will be the country this month, this will be the country the next month, this will be the country 2 months hence. I've had a dream with my colleagues in AIDS-free world. We'd love to see litigation in every single country against those damnable sodomy statutes as soon as it was humanly possible, in addition to strengthening the cultural validity rather than the cultural ugliness on the ground. Let me make a point which may not have been noticed by some. I suspect there will be 4 major aspects out of this international conference. Number 1 will be treatment 0.20, which will largely be seen as treatment as prevention. Even today in the New York Times, they're already signaling treatment as prevention as one of the main factors in the conference. Number 2, I suspect that next Tuesday in the plenary, we will learn that there has been a breakthrough on microbicides, and that will give women some control over their sexuality in many countries, particularly countries in sub-Saharan Africa. Number 3, we have a new statistical breakthrough at this conference on MSM and the way in which treatment benefits the entire population. And that can become a clarion call along with the other two urgent messages. And finally, we understand more than we can ever say that human rights include absolutely everyone. I was at the 1993 Vienna Conference on Human Rights when human rights are women's rights are human rights became the mantra of the international community. There is no reason why human rights for everyone of whatever sexuality and sexual orientation and minority sexual rights, that those rights are sacrosanct, and that emerges from this conference, as do the other sterling components. Thank you for allowing me to address it.